Hi, I'm Life Coach Landry, and the topic is when we need empathy from our partner but receive judgment. Rerouting your relationship from criticism to kindness, basically. So, I've worked with, at this point, hundreds of clients over time. And, whether they were one-time clients, whether they were people in passing, or whether they're still, reoccurring retainer clients, the point is that one of the exchanges I remember hearing about always stuck with me. It just stuck with me in a, wow, kind of moment. And I remember the exchange, and she sent me in an email as she was my client, and letting me know like what had happened in their conversation. So I'm going to read the conversation with you. I don't name the name of my clients, but I will read you. I'll name it man and woman to divide up the conversation. And then I'll tell you what happened during it from, psychological advice kind of standpoint and where it needs to go. So I'm going to read you the exchange. Okay. So the woman says, I'm really struggling with the presentation and I feel burdened by it. Like I have to cover every topic and there are too many and I don't know what to include and I'm overwhelmed and I just don't know what to do about it. Okay. So she's saying this to her partner and she wrote this to me. She said, we had this exchange over text and talking. She goes, I'm going to type it to you, and then I want you to read it and tell me what I should do. And the man replied to her, why don't you not prepare at all and let it happen organically? Just show up, trust that you know the material, which you do. She replied, I don't know how to do that. I need to have something to say to the 100 people that will be sitting there. They're expecting a workshop, basically. He replied, why not just let people ask questions and let your audience's curiosity be what guides you to the material you offer? ? She said, having kind of an moment, becoming tearful, that's it exactly. I don't trust anyone will or can help me. I don't trust anyone will take care of me. I feel like I have to do everything myself, create the whole thing in isolation. And the idea that someone else could ask a good question that would help focus the material brings tears to my eyes. So he replied, exactly. So you're a control freak. She replied, kind of taking a deep breath. When you call me that, it's not helpful. It's actually hurtful. And what I need from you is just to support me and hear the part of me that's in pain right now. Okay, what she did right there was very, very crucial. And this is important that people do this sometimes. It's important that you define what you're looking for from your partner sometimes. When you talk to them, go ahead, I just want to vent. And then sometimes you want to say, hey, I'm going to tell you about something and I want your feedback. Okay, but what she's telling him right now is, I want to vent. So he replies back, so now you're controlling the way I'm supposed to respond to you. How am I supposed to be your therapist? It's just what I said. You're a control freak. Okay, so this sort of interaction happens frequently in intimate relationships, right? What started out as an open, safe, connected, and potentially healing communication turns into something hurtful, dangerous, and alienating. He didn't do anything wrong, and she didn't do anything wrong. But they're at opposites at the way they're seeing handling the same situation. Now, no one's guilty in this, right? Because there's nothing wrong with his perspective, and there's nothing wrong with her perspective. But they're not aligning. So the woman in this case was suffering from struggling to express her pain, right? She was trying hard to understand why her presentation was so difficult for her and to find some relief. And then something beautiful happened. She awakened to her deeper kind of sense and to what the real issue was. She could see her own fear and distrust, and the underlying belief was that it was imprisoning her and causing her to overmanage the situation and feel so stressed. It was evident that she felt great compassion for herself in the moment, and the newfound understanding of her experience. But as the result of the first part of her dialogue, she got to live the profound relaxation and relief that occurs when we get clear on what's happening inside of us, when we haven't even looked at it clearly and we finally get what's going on with us. And you discover that deep-seated belief that's driving us, right? When we awaken to our own truth, to what's been hidden from us, so to speak, and what I talk about in some of my other articles are shadow qualities. And when we do it with another person, it's a beautiful thing. But when we go through such a process with our partner, there exists a possibility and probability for profound love, connection, and gratitude. There was so much good that happened in the first part of their dialogue. It really was. Good couples, good healthy couples will find that they don't become incompatible in these moments. They actually find themselves hugging, smiling, and just kind of like, and if they're talking over text, oh, you got it. Don't worry about it, baby. I know what you're doing. You got this. And I can tell you're struggling a little bit, but I have all the confidence in you in the world. Or she could have said back to him, I know you're trying to be helpful. I get it. I know you're not trying to be hard on me. I'm just being hard on myself. I still thank you that you're even putting effort into trying to help me. See how, you can take different perspectives, right? Sadly, though, at precisely the moment of grace, when she opened up her truth, her partner entered that beautiful space of criticism and used her pain as an opportunity to judge her. Now, that doesn't make him wrong, but at that moment, it was wrong for her, right? So what was remarkable, however, is the testament to the human spirit was how, despite being visibly hurt, she managed to keep her heart open and continue trying to get what she really needed. She didn't blow up. She didn't get defensive. She didn't get ugly. It's one of those parts where the very thing she feared was happening as she was naming it. She was begging for his help, basically, for this vulnerable and wounded part of herself to be taken care of and understood. But in a place of help, she was receiving judgment. And like I said, there's nothing wrong that he did that. There are other women out there that would have completely been like, that's exactly what I needed. I needed that kick in the ass. But for her, she was in an empathetic needing moment. It was also quite sad to notice that her partner seemed genuinely to want to help her, to encourage her to relax, but was unable to skillfully express that intention. Now, what I say in my other videos is it doesn't matter how you communicate if you're not effective with it. No matter what your feelings are, however you come at your partner with it, if it's not effective, it's not effective. Okay? So both him and her, you can come from either side and say, he wasn't effective in his approach and she wasn't effective in trying to gain something from him, so they were both ineffective with each other. That could be incompatibility. May not be that there's anything bad either one of them are doing. His suggestions were on target, but they came from the wrong side of the emotional fence for her. His input was focused on obliterating the behavior that arose out of distrust and suffering rather than taking care of the suffering itself. So he just had a different approach. What he wanted was seemingly the same thing she wanted, for her to feel like she could loosen her controls, feel less stuck, and enjoy the process more. Okay. But the way he sought to accomplish that intention was to criticize her and not yet awaken to the behavior label, not her yet perfect character, but which didn't help her, as she feared in the truth doesn't help anyone, right? If it's their fearful truth. Exposing our vulnerabilities in less evolved parts is scary and hard. And when we do have the courage to bring our challenges to the light, we want them to enter a safe space and be met with kindness. But often, if you're not compatible with someone, you'll find that they're often not. They're met with, harsh criticism, or, be open to constructive criticism. The great hope and potential of partnership is to provide this safe and curious space where less of all parts can be understood for the fear that motivates them, rather than being used to judge them for the kind of person they prove us to be. It's not until the parts of us are afraid, confused, and weak or understood they're supposed to, have a space to relax and ultimately heal. Every moment in every conversation, every interaction presents a choice for you. We can take that path of empathy or the path of judgment. Neither one of them are wrong. Just depends on who you're with. We can relate to the vulnerability in another with a sense of curiosity and compassion, or we can relate with criticism and judgment. Some people call it truth. It not only feels better to receive kindness, though, and support, not yet, perfected parts, but also to offer it, right? So if you expect that out of somebody, make sure you're also offering that to them too. Don't be unfair in your expectations. Try it out for a day. Be mindful of your moment to moment choices between empathy and judgment, and not just for others, but for yourself as well. Try seeing it from, the vulnerable parts of yourself and others, and notice where it takes you, kind of inside and out. Think about these things and just, think about this couple and the way that went down. They both had what they saw as positive approaches, but because they were ineffective in the way they communicate with each other, it didn't matter what the approach or the intent was. Sometimes these are red flags, and sometimes these are the moments where you sit down, you have 2 to 3 conversations max to resolve it, and if you don't, you make a decision. Either it wasn't worth it getting into, you're unhealthy, you're toxic, and you need to walk away, or you're incompatible. Okay? Remember, it takes a lot more good times to get over a bad time. Okay? I always say it takes 5 to 10 good times to override a bad time. So you need to have a lot more good going in a relationship than bad if you want to have a sustainable relationship. So I hope this information was helpful. And if you would like to book a personal session, contact me at the email below. And if you found this information of value, show your appreciation by clicking the PayPal donation link below, and I will talk to you soon.